Really excited for this event. We've got Paula Ehrlich joining us. She is the president and CEO of the E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Foundation and co-founder of the Half Earth Project. So she's going to share with us the ambitious goals of the Half Earth Project to conserve half of Earth's land and seas. We need to protect the right habitat and a sufficient amount to safeguard the bulk of our biodiversity. She's going to talk a little bit about how we're identifying and mapping life on our planet, because we can't really leave a species behind. We've talked kind of a theme of biodiversity of ecosystems being a tapestry. As you start to fray and pull away from it, it's not as strong and resilient as it was before. So biodiversity is crucially important. So let's get Paula in here live with us. Hey, Paula, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Always great to have a chance to connect.
Absolutely. Great to see you. And it's been just a wonderful, wonderful event. I'm so glad. So, hey, I was thinking I've got some cool stuff to show. So if you want to make my face go away so everybody can see our slides as big as possible, that'd be great.
We can do that. We can do that. Let me bring the slides in. Let me tweak it one more time. And there we go.
Does that look good? Okay. So it's a really interesting time to be speaking with you all. It's a time when we're all leaning forward with sort of a renewed awareness that human fate is dependent in the long and short term on the care and maintenance of our planet. My sense is that we're witnessing a heightened cultural awareness of the need for a hopeful solution for our planet, a way by which living Earth, all of it, can continue to breathe. And in the book Half Earth, E.O. Wilson created a promise that if we achieve the goal of Half Earth, to protect half the Earth in order to safeguard the bulk of biodiversity, that we'd solve a problem, and living Earth, all of it, could continue to breathe. That problem is this. It's estimated that we will lose half our planet's species by the end of the century. This is because the extinction rate's currently 1,000 times higher than at any time in human history. In May 2019, the UN issued an apocalyptic report about mass extinction. The report warned that 1 million plant and animal species were at the risk of extinction. 1 million! Countless living creatures, individual frogs, bats, turtles, tigers, bees, eels, puffins, owls, each one like you or me, each with its own life story and family ties and ecosystem of codependent friends. Extinction usually unfolds off stage, so these huge numbers were a surprise. But what happens when it's right in front of our faces? In a recent Sunday New York Times, a question was told and a story was told and a question was asked. What happens when the last 2 northern white rhinos dies? And why does it matter? This is a photo of them, a mother and her daughter. Well, it matters surely because somewhere in the core of our humanity, we recognize these great creatures. And when we are touched by their story, we feel extraordinary passion. It also matters because the species of our planet don't exist in isolation. The answer is if we lose species, we lose the ecosystems, the intricate web of life that sustains nature and sustains us as part of nature. As the author Sam Anderson writes, a rhino is not just a rhino. It's a load-bearing strand in an elaborate ecological web. A rhino is not just a part of the world. It is a world. It mows and plows fields. Its dung feeds colonies of insects, and birds come to feed on the insects, and other predators come to catch the birds. An ecosystem of its own. And we too are a part of that web. And sooner or later, our strand will be cut. It's like a game of Jenga. You're never exactly sure which piece, when you pull it out, will cause the whole to collapse. And here's the tricky thing. The game of Jenga is played with 54 wooden blocks. Our planet is made up of something more like 10 million species, and we only know and have a name for 2 million of them. Even if we try to be strategically smart about which ones it might be okay to lose, we only know 20% of the players on the field, and very little about their connections with the 8 million others that are unknown. So you might say we're playing a little in the dark in our attempts to care for our planet. As E.O. Wilson says, unless humanity learns a great deal more about global biodiversity and moves quickly to protect it, we will soon lose most of the species composing life on Earth. You see, we've worked earnestly, but global conservation efforts have lowered extinction rates of species by only approximately 20%. E.O. Wilson tells a funny story that speaks to this. It's like a surgeon hovering over a bleeding patient in the operating room who heroically stops 20% of the bleeding. Congratulations, right? The patient's unfortunately still dead in the morning. And if present conditions persist, we'll lose half of all species before the end of the century. The Half-Earth Project is about solving this problem. The idea with Half-Earth is to raise our ambition to a new level, from a process that's been somewhat successful to a goal, protection of half the land and sea, that we will all work together to achieve. And if we accomplish this goal, we'll have managed sufficient habitat to safeguard the bulk of biodiversity. And this is a big deal. It's not just important conceptually, it's important inspirationally. Because if you look at history, this is the sort of ambition, this is the sort of moonshot goal that drives humanity. So why half? Well, the consensus that's emerged around the idea of half being the solution is extraordinary. Because scientific consensus is extraordinary. But the thing that E.O. Wilson is most famous for is influencing our lives. And I found that's worth paying attention to. The scientific principle behind the idea of half-Earth actually grows out of some research E.O. Wilson did as a young man, which showed that as the size of an island grows, the diversity of life surviving on the island also grew. And also that it grew in a mathematically predictable way. And if you look at the curve predicted by this relationship, you have a pretty good idea that if we protect half, we'll be able to safeguard the bulk of biodiversity. The key is to map the species of our planet at a high enough resolution that we have the information we need to identify the places where we have the best opportunity to protect the most species. That's what we're doing with the Half-Earth Project map. In fact, using geospatial species data, our team has determined that 48.5% of land is sufficient to meet conservation targets for all of the 32,000 terrestrial vertebrate species we know. The key is to pick that half really well. We've used the Half-Earth map to help people imagine together what half could look like, to showcase the most effective path forward for protection of endangered species and endangered ecosystems. This is providing the foundation for a new way of understanding how to best steward biodiversity while also supporting decision-making and creating a rich experience about why these places are special. But all halves are not created equal. If the goal of half is ultimately to leave no species behind, we need an indicator of how well conserved places are doing in protecting the species of their place and where we have the best opportunities to protect more, right? So our teams developed what we call a Species Protection Index, an SPI, which is like the FICA score for biodiversity. Right now, you can go on the Half Earth Project map and see an SPI national report card for every nation. You can get an SPI score of from 0 to 100, depending upon how many species groups are protected in your country. The average is about 41 for most countries. And you get 100 if you've reached conservation targets for all your country's species within your protected areas. So here, check out Paraguay, which has an SPI that's right around average at 45.18. It has 13% of its land in protected areas. And it's ranked 107 of 252 countries and territories. You can see here the US is at 94. So here's how this works. Let's compare Ghana to Paraguay. Check out Ghana. It's also protected 13% of its land, but it has a blockbuster SPI of 78.95. This lets us know that Ghana is doing really well and successfully achieving species conservation in the places it's protected. Indicators like the SPI are key because the bottom line is really how well you are protecting species within conserved areas. And this is what we need to measure success. But all is not lost for Paraguay, which we can see here. Paraguay's national report card also shows where to go next, with one possible configuration of additional areas to protect in pursuit of the half-Earth goal, shown here in yellow. Protection of the yellow areas will contribute more to the conservation of species habitat beyond the current protection, which is in green. The bottom line is to make sure that land is protected that protects species. So this is why the SPI has been proposed as one of the headline indicators by the UN's Convention on Biological Diversity to make sure we can measure our success so we have a better chance of getting there. Now, there are many people on this call who are dedicated to the expansion of conservation efforts, and to you, we all owe a huge debt of gratitude. In many big and small ways, your efforts are already contributing to the half-Earth goal. And as Virgil says in the epigraph to the book Half-Earth, but now we have come a great long way. And now the time has come to unyoke our steaming horses.
I recall when John Kennedy announced the American space program, he did not say to the American people in his inimitable way, by the end of this decade, we will have made good progress toward landing a man on the moon and bringing him home. He did not say that. He said, by the end of this decade,
that we shall send to the moon, 240,000 miles away, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth.
And the American public just opened up to that. We can do it. We're going to do it. And when we do it, we will solve this immense problem of traveling through space, of beating the Russians, of learning so much more and doing so much more for humanity. And that's the sense that the half-Earth has. It's a goal. And how can we reach that goal? Because we know if we reach that goal, we will save the whole thing. If we reach that goal, we can relax. We don't have to be out there quite so much struggling day by day, but we will arrive.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone.
So this is what Half Earth is. It's a goal that's meant to inspire us in the same way as a moonshot. When E.O. Wilson conceived of Half Earth, he imagined that we would bring together our scholarship and understanding from many walks of life to work together to achieve a grand goal, that we would work together to save our planet and in turn, bring out the best of ourselves. And to achieve Half Earth, we need to address the global inequities that separate us. With most of the world's biodiversity on indigenous land and in the hands of local people, a new balance must be struck between all the stewards of nature, long-standing and new. Should we achieve this, humanity will together be healthier, wiser, and better able to serve as the mind of the biosphere to address the looming extinction crisis, and living Earth, all of it, can continue to breathe. Thank you.
All right, Paula, let's get us back in here. Tuck away that presentation for now. That was great, Paula. Thanks so much for sharing Half Earth with us. And, you know, just all of those analogies were so great. I never heard that stopping 20% of the bleeding. That's a really good one. I mean, great, I guess, but I don't think it's going to save the patient. So, and then, you know, that moonshot analogy, and, you know, what's the point in setting small goals? If it's easy to do, we're going to get complacent. We have to go big. We have to aim big. Maybe we need another country to challenge us or something to become the biodiversity protectors. And maybe that'll spur on some friendly competition to protect our wild places.
And you know, the national report cards on that Half Earth Project map sort of help with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not in a way that's calling each other out, but like saying, "Hey, look what we've done, and look what you could do, and here's where we need to go if we really want to care for biodiversity globally." Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, the Half Earth. I want to bring up the ambassadors for a moment. The ambassadors, you know, are educators, so they're out with classrooms. Why was it important to bring educators into the Half Earth program?
Oh, that's just like, that's the core, right? Is to engage young people and to engage them early, right? In order to allow them to have those transformative moments in nature where they feel like they can maybe make a difference and join the ranks of next generation stewards. And so it became really important for us to be able to engage teachers, because for every teacher that we connect with 8 students. And so as we connect with teachers and make this part of what they're sharing with their students, and also allowing them to give their students sort of a purpose-driven reason for, well, why they're doing everything in school, right? It becomes really, really important. And I'm so glad that we can engage them through tools like the map. I want to thank Visuality and Esri especially, because they help to create these beautiful assets that bring now that data, that bring all that deep science that we've been creating to life so that students can engage with it in mapping exercises and other things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, sometimes I wish we could kind of speed this generation into power. I just feel like they're more switched on, you know, as we connect with them in our live virtual events, and they know what's at stake, and they want to have a bigger voice and a bigger, you know, influence. So I almost wish we could kind of flip things and put them in power.
Well, and that's why I like that moonshot clip so much. And I need to thank Michael Connolly. That's a beautiful little teaser clip from an upcoming film. But creating those moments in film or wherever kids are in nature, whatever, or a special book. That's how E.O. Wilson usually talks with people, right? If we can just create those ways of connecting with kids so they can imagine that kind of powerful place it could have in the world as they care for our home. I just think that'd be really extraordinary.
No, absolutely. How would you suggest someone engage with either the foundation or the Half Earth Project if it's new to them? What's the best way to engage and start to become active?
Well, you can go to our website, which is halfearthproject.org. I also encourage people to take the Half Earth Pledge, to really go on and click on that pledge and think about how this can be authentic in your own life. We're creating lots of opportunities for people wherever they are with their own unique experience or expertise to participate in being part of this community. And so I hope that everyone finds that place for themselves and can share this with their friends and communities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it doesn't seem like a lot to take a pledge, does it? But it's when more and more people are doing it, and taking pledges with other people, so people are holding you accountable.
You actually can see, if you click on the pledge, you can see where other people around you have taken the pledge as well.
Yeah.
But then it also allows us to connect with you and keep you up to date on what's going on and where there are events or other things going on near you. So I'd love it if everyone watching could join us. It would be great to have you as part of the community.
Yeah, no question. Absolutely. And then I know on the website, there's great videos, there's great resources that people can check out as well. So I'm going to pop that link up there right now. So let it sit up there for a moment and let people jot that down and check it out. And then, I was so thrilled to get the video to kick off the festival from E.O. Wilson. It was just, it was so exciting. I said this after the video.
He was very proud to join this. I mean, it meant a lot to him to be able to kick this off and welcome everyone.
Yeah, no, it was spectacular. I mean, as someone, studied zoology and biology in school, his work is studied by so many, and it's set so many standards, and it's still having an impact. So, what better person to be the voice telling us to really pull our socks up? And 30 by 30 is, we're starting, but we've got a moonshot. We've got to go past that.
No, absolutely. And it's wonderful to feel people now like kind of leaning in around this hopeful solution that he's laid out really with his whole life. And I think especially for students who I know you connect with all the time, so I'll make another pitch for this or plug for this, but he really means for his life to be an example for students today to see what he was able to do, and the people who believed in him that allowed and supported and nurtured an extraordinary life, which they too can have, right? By finding that one special thing that inspires them in their lives.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was just such a brilliant idea to turn Naturalist into a graphic novel, just to reach a new generation. They're so popular. It's such a great graphic novel. So just such a great idea to kind of pass those messages on to the younger generation. Yeah.
And yeah, The Naturalist is sort of fun. I do encourage people to take a look. I love when the characters sort of reach into a different screen. It allows you to see both Ed as a boy and also gives us a way of seeing how he reflects back on his life. It's really a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Paula, thank you so much for taking some time to join us today. Having the support of the Half Earth Project, having the support of the E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Foundation, it means so much to the Global Biodiversity Festival. Such a powerful voice, such a powerful message. In a way, this crazy 72-hour festival is our moonshot for this year. So, so far, so good.
Yeah, no, you're looking great. Hanging right in there, I can see. And thank you very much for letting us be part of this. It's really a privilege, and it's been a lot of fun to watch everyone out there doing great things in the world. That's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be optimistic. There's no other way to be. You have to be optimistic, and there's great people out there on the front line working hard every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a huge shout out to your team as well, who helped out behind the scenes. So thanks to everybody. It's really great. What an amazing session. And I hope you can tune into a few more over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right. Well, Paula, have a great rest of the day. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right.